good governance tour. It didn't just start now. The presidents do this. Mr. Gabriel Omoyemi joins us this morning. He's a retired Assistant Director, Ministry of Information. Thank you for coming out this morning.
Thank you very much.
Well, yes, as I did say, there's a background to this. When Professor Jerry Ghana was Minister of Information, he also went about this, and you were involved in at that time.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
You see, what actually led to the national media tour was there were two major facts, reasons why Jerry Ghana decided to bring about the national media tour. One, just a year and some months after the military handed over to the present political dispensation, there were evidence on ground that those who benefited immensely from military regime never wanted the survival of the democratic system of governance. So they were doing everything possible, and the media was playing along with them. So it got to a point, there was a week where almost all the magazines carried the cover story that democracy has failed. So this became very worrisome. So Jerry Ghana, as the sitting minister then, became very worried. And what are we going, he started asking, what are we going to do to really show that the democratic system of governance is better than military regime? So that was how one very hard-working officer, Ike Nwokiki, he was his SA. He's still in government, but very quiet, brilliant boy. And Sanwo Basi. Sanwo Basi then was the PA to Jerry Ghana. He is now the senior special advisor to the secretary to the government. So they were the people actually with the minister who brought about the national media tour. The reason was that most of the journalists that were based in Abuja that were reporting that the democracy was not better than the military regime, we wanted them to know the country. You know what I'm saying? And we also wanted them to go tour and see physically for themselves so that they could report. That will inform the way and manner they report. You remember that there was a time that they wanted the head of Jerry Ghana because he said he was addressing his weekly media press when one of the rich chief of one of the newspapers asked him what is the difference between the Obasanjo's administration and the Abacha's government. So Jerry Ghana for once lost his cool and asked, why is the media such a bad examiner? So this led to a lot of media hype. People wanted him up, Jerry Ghana must go, and all the rest. They were acting media propaganda everywhere. So it got to a point that they now asked me, Gabriel, I was working with an agency under the Ministry of Information, but somehow I was like a media guide to the minister's team. So now asking, what are we going to do to quell this attack on the minister? I said, okay, why don't we invite the president of the Nigerian Union of Journalists? The sitting president of Nigerian Union of Journalists then was Smart Adeyemi, now Senator Smart Adeyemi. So they now asked me to go and get Smart Adeyemi. I went to the National Secretariat in Abuja. Luckily, I met Smart Adeyemi and Khalid. This happened on a Wednesday, on a Tuesday. So Smart Adeyemi told me that for 6 months I've been trying to see the minister. I can't see the minister. And all, you can imagine. I said, okay, now you now have the opportunity to see the minister. So the minister was to attend a council meeting, Federal Executive Council meeting. He suspended it and now decided to wait for the NUJ leadership to come. It was at that venue. Anybody who knows Jerry Ghana is not a man who reads speeches. But because of how dicey and the tense situation then, Jerry Ghana had to read the text, prepared speech. So that was where he now made himself clear that he did not say that the press were bad examiner to indict the media. Okay, so that was the commencement of the national media.
That was in 2001.
No,
right?
that was in 2000, because in 2001 was when the media the tour ended. So now in October, I think October 5th, they now asked us, myself and Emeka Nwosu, who is now the one of the media advisor to Honorable Ihedioha, then Nick Dazan, who works with INEC, and myself, we were now asked to edit a book on the national media tour. So that was the book that they gave us 3 months. So by January, January of 2001, now this book was to be presented.
Sorry, I was going to ask, what then can you say was the essence? What did the media tour achieve? Because eventually, wasn't not just to say, well, this governor was the best run governor. Was that what it was about?
Coming to that. No, the media tour, first and foremost, was to make the journalists that were critical of the government to know that the civilian regime, the democratic system, was working. For instance, we began the media tour from Benin, Edo State. That's Lucky Gbenedions, who was the sitting governor then. Then I remember the Chief Mike Ogiadome, who is now the chief of staff to the president, was the deputy governor. He took us to Igara, with ceramic, this thing plant in the Igara. And I told him plainly that, my friend, there's nothing on ground to show that the Edo State government has justified the money that they've received. You get what I'm saying now? So we went from there to the Delta State. Although James Ibori then was far better than Lucky Gbenedion in terms of democratic, what do you call, dividend. But the fact is that it was obvious that what you call him, James Ibori was running a government that was similar to the old Soviet Union. They had spy all over the place. You cannot express yourself and all the rest. So we confronted him about it. So you find that journalists who were on that tour got to know this country. They now know the difference between an Hausa man and a Kanuri man, and a Plateau man, a Fulani man. Because the truth is that they just sit down. Everybody who came from the north was an Hausa man as far as they were concerned. So that media tour exposed them and made them know this country better. And secondly, it also made people realize that those governors to know that they were being monitored.
Yeah, who was funding the tour?
It was the federal government that funded it.
So your state governments that you're visiting were not expected to host you and accommodate you?
No, you see, the truth was that those who were the state governors who were willing to provide us accommodation and not to provide us accommodation and not, but it was not mandated. It was the federal government that funded that tour.
How many of you were in the delegation? Do you remember?
We were about with the range about 150.
150?
Yes.
That must have been a lot.
Yes.
Well, you know, looking at what were the parameters that were set for this particular, I mean, if it's supposed to be a good governance, it would seem that most of the things that are being used to judge or assess the state government, and, you know, in this particular matter, it seemed like you were going around the states to actually assess the states, not that you're going to look at federal government projects in those states. Was that what you're going to do?
No. You see, the truth was that we went there to really show that the democratic system of government that the media was critical of was actually working.
What were some of the parameters that were using aside tangible infrastructure, which you could see and touch?
For instance, Bayelsa was just a state that was just coming up. So you could see that there were major steps being made to open up Bayelsa then. So infrastructural development and all that were being assessed. But the fact is that at no point did we say that we were going to give awards. I'll tell you how we came. The award that finally came was purely done secretly and not out of it was done by the leadership of the NUJ then. For whatever reason, up till tomorrow, we disagree with them.